Japan Pot 16. Through the major dailies, the ordinary Japanese reading public gets a breadth of the information about basic world developments that compares favorably with the best of foreign newspapers. With an industrial output which has now surpassed that of the Soviet Union concentrated in such a small area, the Japanese have confronted a most severe pollution problem since the early 1970s, when the problem gained prominent attention. The Japanese have responded with pioneering techniques now being studied by the Americans seeking new solutions to their pollution problems. The standards for pollution control for new plants and the amount spent on pollution control by mid-1970s surpassed that of any other country. By the late 1970s, the most serious sources of pollution had been substantially reduced. For example, the American and Europeans auto manufacturers had to make special appeals to be allowed to sell new cars in Japan, for they did not meet the Japanese standards for emission, which by the late 1970s were the most rigorous in the world. The Japanese National Health Insurance Program does not offer high benefits by Western European standards. However, an observer in Japan is impressed that the people seem lively and wear their age well, that obesity and debilitating illnesses seem uncommon. These impressions are supported by the statistical data that is available. By the mid-1970s, Japan had the lowest infant mortality rate of any country in the world. Perhaps the best overall measure of a nation's health system is the longevity of the population. In 1955, Japan's average life expectancy was over 4 years shorter than the Americas. In 1967, Japan's average life expectancy surpassed America's, and in 1977 it surpassed that of Sweden to become the longest of any nation in the world. The question of satisfaction with life requires more subjective judgment. If one looks at international public opinion data on complacency and self-satisfaction, the Japanese rank low. They seem to have aspiration for betterment as high or higher than any other country in the world. But foreigners who observe Japanese in public commonly conclude that in a sense of involvement in purposefully activity, of dignity and performance of their work, role, and of the pride in personal appearance, the Japanese rank very high. It is tempting to dismiss the Japanese autonomous who knew nothing but work. According to the 1977 International Labour Organization Yearbook of the Labour Statistics, in 1976, the average American work week was 40.0 hours. Japan's average work week was 40.2 hours. If one took full account of the unreported overtime, a typical Japanese may work in on an average 3 or 4 more hours a week. But even then, the total work week is in the range of the Western European countries. Those who have observed the Japanese families and other groups in private have concluded that in zest for life, the delight in carefree relaxation and enthusiasm for recreation, the Japanese are no laggards. As they say of themselves, they like to work and work hard, to play hard, and many thoughtful Americans visiting Japan.